Thank you all for the feedback. We are going straight into the pit. We are deep diving into the world of Deathrace King. I think everybody in the band agrees that this is, if not the best one, it's at least one of the better albums we have done. And how come it turned out that damn good? Well, I think it had a lot to do with our previous album, Hell Is Here. Hell Is Here was our first release from Metal Blade Records, and we ended up doing killer tours, killer shows, a lot of traveling, you know, and great reviews. That kind of stuff that sort of inspires you when things go well, things go positive. So we were on fire when we, started working on Deathrace King, and I would say that, as always, we didn't have a grand plan what to do. We continued in a way we always do. We just write songs, present the songs to the band, and we start rehearsing them. And back then it's pretty funny because what ended up on the albums was the 10 songs we came up with. It was never a discussion of we should write 20 songs and pick the best 10. No, we wrote the songs and rehearsed the songs that ended up on the albums. And on Deathrace King, it's we followed, I would say, in a sort of typical Crown manner, that I wrote half of the songs and Magnus wrote half of the songs. And I guess that's the recipe of our sound. We do have a bit different writing style, me and Magnus. So I think that it just adds to the palette when we both contribute with music. And I would say that Hell Is Here started something new, at least for us, and that was a lot to do thanks to Magnus' writing. He has this more punkish rock and roll feel style. He really embraced that on Hell Is Here. From my side, I think that I was more generic in my writing style on Hell Is Here. Magnus really, pushed to include all kinds of different influences, and that triggered me for the next album, for the Deathrace King. And I remember that I wanted to get a bit away from my typical writing style, which is usually quite melodic. And I remember I was so happy when I wrote the first song, Death Explosion, because I basically did a song without melodies, and it turned out good. So I really wanted to push myself a bit, to not always fall into the same trap, to add melodies and extra guitar on the choruses and stuff like that. So I would say Death Explosion is pretty straightforward. It's not even based on a melody, it's based on this rhythmic thing that goes throughout the whole song. And the other songs I did was, Back from the Grave. That song actually wrote by itself. I usually, it can take like a month, several weeks for me to complete a song, but I remember Back from the Grave was like what the hell happened? Vengeance, I really like that one, really heavy, unique one. I wrote I Won't Follow as well, and the heavy Dead Man's Song. Magnus, from my perspective, sort of continued what he started with Hell Is Here, the rock and roll thing. It's very present in like Blitzkrieg Witchcraft. Yeah, I think the merging of our writing styles created the foundation of the Deathrace sound. And but there is a little funny thing about the writing part, at least from my songs, is this has never happened before. It only happened once. I guess it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. If you play guitar or whatever instrument, I'm pretty sure you know that the instrument the sort of decides what you write. There's some sort of voodoo in every instrument that sort of speaks to you. And I mean, if I pick up an acoustic guitar, I start playing acoustic stuff, and same with electric guitar. It depends on the sound, of course, as well. But at this point, was a good friend of mine, Valle Adsik, from a band called Impious. We live in the same town. He forgot his Ibanez guitar at my place. It's a very thin neck, a very sort of shredder style guitar. And he forgot it at my place for, I don't know, he left it there for a month or two or something. And when I picked up his guitar, I wrote all of the Deathrace King songs. And I remember at some point I was like, what the hell is this? I just kept on coming up with, you know, new ideas, and I demoed them, and I was so happy. So it's quite funny. I met Valle last summer, and I told him, where's the guitar? I need it. I need to track it down where it is. So I need to re-experience the voodoo, because it created something really, really unique. And I know I've tried, you know, afterwards you always try to find the next guitar that sort of inspires you, and it's quite funny. I mean, I bought a few guitars, you pick it up, and it's like, no, there's nothing there. But that Ibanez guitar, there was something about it. It just, yeah, there was some voodoo witchcraft going on there, but that was quite interesting. Yeah, 50-50 writing the songs, me and Magnus. Magnus did most of the lyrics. He's an excellent lyric writer, and there's not a theme on this album, I would say. Various topics, keeping it, of course, a bit on the dark side. But there's also some really cool angles on the lyrics. For example, Executioner, Slay of the Light. It deals with the tragic murder that happened in Gothenburg, where Jo Nödveit from Dissection ended up in jail for murdering a person. So that lyric deals with those events that happened in Gothenburg at Killer's Park, or Killer's Park, as Magnus mentioned it in the lyrics. And then there's like Dead Man's Song ended up having this Western, you know, theme of it, you know. Yeah, it has a really different vibe to it compared from the Blood, Death, Hell, Satan thing, you know. So it's quite cool. Killing Star deserves a freaking award. I think those lyrics are amazing. And the song too, I think it's really one of our better songs. But yeah, I think in good old manner, back then we rehearsed 2 or 3 times a week, and we were, as always, very well prepared entering the studio. I think we booked 3 weeks at Studio Fredman. We had previously recorded 3 albums down south in Malmö at Bern Studios. But this time we wanted to be a bit closer to home. Gothenburg is only a 50-minute drive from where we live. And I think Magnus already lived in Gothenburg at that time. So yeah, it was like an easy choice. And obviously Fredman knows his things, his ways around the audio world. So yeah, we booked Studio-Fredman for 3 weeks, and we went in and just started to execute. Not much spontaneous stuff, coming up with parts or ideas in the studio. It was very well prepared, that I remember. I would guess, but I believe Janne hammered down the drums in a day or two. It was also super prepared. We recorded the old-fashioned way, drums first, bass second, then guitars and add-ons, and which is very unfair. You always leave the vocals for last. That's not really fair when you think about it, because vocals are, probably the most important part of the music, the song, and you always leave it to the last. Okay, Johan, now you have 4 days to do the vocals, and if some shit comes up, it just creates a lot of stress. And actually, some shit came up. Johan blew his voice, we had to postpone. This must have been around Christmas or New Year's or something. I know that Johan and Marcus went to Studio-Fredman some late night and did the final vocals. It might have been on actual New Year's Eve or something like that. But it was Killing Star. That was the one before that he blew his voice. And he had to rest for a week or two, and he made a few attempts, I remember that, but the sound wasn't there. So we started actually mixing everything, and we also mixed Killing Star. We mixed all the tracks, and later on Johan sang on the mixed version, and I remember, it was a bit weird. You can't really tell that now in the final product, but it was a weird way to do it. And I actually talked with Johan here a few hours ago about the whole Deathrace King, what he sort of remembers, and he told me that there is a minimal sync issue with the vocals. He said that it's like 1 millisecond late or something. Nothing that I have ever heard, but he said that the vocals are a bit out of sync since he had to sing on the... Well, he sang Killing Star separately and it was sort of imported on the mixed versions, added, something like that. But I guess he hears it, being the singer dude. But I never thought about that one. But so that was probably the only sort of challenge that happened in the studio. It was all about execution. We went in and just hammered down our parts. Vocals, I remember the first song we tracked vocals for was Back from the Grave. And I remember it took 3.5 hours. And I was surprised that Fredrik Nordström was surprised that we took so long time to do the vocals. That I remember. He explained that, some other death metal band was there and laid down the vocals for the whole album in 1 hour or something. But we always worked really hard on the vocals, and Johan is very, picky when it comes to articulation and stuff like that. So you need to hear every word, even though he's growling, and I love that part with him. He's one of those guys, like, in my book, one of the better, like David Vincent, really good articulate and, has the voice. So 3.5 hours of screaming, and then, as I said in the beginning, it's really unfair that you leave the vocals last because you're on a time crunch. And I mean, when we play live, we play an hour, but here he is singing, 3.5 hours, screaming, then you hit on the next one, and so at some point you're gonna get some issues, and he blew his voice. I don't think every song took 3.5 hours, maybe some were faster as well, but as I said, Johan is really picky in the studio, and I know he hates me many times because I usually have a lot of ideas for vocals, and I always want to try it, you know. Yeah, oh, you should do a longer scream, or end the word like this, or something like that. And I always want to record it and hear it, and you know, basically test everything. Obviously, that tears down the voice. I mean, he's standing there in the vocal booth screaming for an extra hour, just trying out my weird ideas. But yeah, that's he hates me for that. I know that. But yeah, besides the vocal thing, I think it was quite painless. We also had two guests, Thomas Lindberg and Mika Luttinen did some guest vocals. We flew in Mika from Belgium. He lived there at that time, and he spent a weekend with us. And I believe we went out, and there was some heavy drinking involved. And the day after, we drove to Studio-Frederman, and he sang his lines. Thomas Lindberg lived in Gothenburg. He joined us in the studio and did his part in Devil Gate Ride, and so that was really cool. What else? Let's talk gear. Guitar-wise, we used PV 5150, and we overdubbed it with Engel Savage amp. That was quite sort of the Fredman way to do it. It sounds good. It adds the body and flavors of both those amps, and you know, you overdub it, and you get a pretty meaty sound, and it's pretty cool. And please note that Deathrace King is also its original E tuning, so not many death metal bands were having normal E tuning at that time, but we stayed on E. And yeah, the 5150 and the Engel sounds really good in standard E tuning as well. There's two songs down-tuned. It's my two heavy ones, Dead Man's Song and Vengeance. Those are down-tuned to D. But other than that, it's E all the way. And yeah, I recorded, me and Marcus recorded two guitars each for the rhythms, and then Marcus added his leads, solos. Yeah, I may added something on top of it, and that was it. It was quite straightforward. We rented the big room in Studio-Frederman. I think we spent 3 weeks there, and came out with a pretty kick-ass album, I must say. And the feedback was awesome. We went on great tours. We went on supporting Morbid Angel again, and did a UK, Ireland, Scotland tour with Haunted, shitloads of festivals, all kinds of stuff. You know, it was just growing all the time, and Deathrace King was, it was damn the best we could do, and great feedback. And nowadays I see it, you know, on these charts, or what do you call it, like, up there, top 50 of like best albums ever. I mean, not just like within death metal, but I mean those kinds of stuff. It's quite amazing. Super proud of it. Super proud of it. Now when I'm thinking about Deathrace, I have a lot of, you know, thinking about the gear and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna think it through and come back with a part 2, and where we can geek out a bit more. Let's talk about the bass tone, guitar tone, even drums if there's something. There is something special there actually. This is an initial Deathrace King blabber. So all right, thanks for joining.